Gentlemen, today we're going to be talking about a very sensitive topic: men and women. We live in a day and age these days where unfortunately everything can be offensive, so just a disclaimer before I go even further to what I'm going to be talking about and what I am going to be discussing. I just want to say that in this video, I am not generalizing all men and women. I'm just saying that there's a select few of us in the vast majority of the population that act this way. So, what I'm going to be talking about today is something a little bit similar to this essay I wrote for a project I did prior to this. And the topic of that essay was why men are stereotypically funnier than women. More on that later. Right now, what I will be mainly arguing in this video, or at least not arguing, because I'm not trying to get into I'm not trying to have beef with anyone. What I'll be talking about today is how men's humor is different from a woman's. I don't know if that's proper grammar, but who knows? It's already like 12:21 in the morning. But who cares? First thing I want to talk about is what makes men laugh. Quite a lot, actually. What makes men laugh is a lot of questionable things. For starters, I would like to say that a lot of what men laugh at is another guy's stupidity. Like, let me tell you straight up, if you put a whole bunch of boys together who are all buddies, yeah, you're bound to like find them doing something dumb that'll make them all laugh. Or to just like doing that like you'll just hear a group of boys just laughing together about something dumb. Usually stuff that is pretty dumb. For example, there was this guy on TikTok, and yes, I'm using TikTok as a resource. I don't know if you guys have ever seen this video where this guy is pouring outside and it's thundering, the skies are gray and everything, and this guy's outside with nothing but swimming trunks in his backyard with a pool, and decides to just jump in to the swimming pool, and at the exact moment that he jumps in, a bolt of lightning the pool gets struck by lightning.
Who else agrees? But swimming in the rain is 100 times more fun than swimming on a sunny day. Oh my god, that made my balls tingle!
It's just so dumb what things guys can do that end up being the most hilarious content. Whenever guys tend to talk about like a rhetorical situation, like maybe let's say, like I'll give you a rhetorical situation that some guys might find funny. For those of you who don't know, anime is a Japanese form of entertainment. Like, there are some scenes in some animes that are a little bit not PG, and it's why some guys watch anime alone. So the rhetorical situation being that you're just watching the anime, and literally anything in an anime can be misinterpreted because of how sexual some jokes can be. Like, you could just be walking in this scenario, just watching the anime, and like at the worst moment of a scene, it shows like the girl like accidentally being walked in on changing by a guy as a joke in whatever show, because it is a trope in the anime, and quite like an often one, where the guy just walks in and a girl changing by accident, and then they get slapped across the entire room. Kind of like this.
Oi, Mai! いつまでも寝てんじゃ!
And then like anyone can just walk in at the worst moment, and it's not only like kind of embarrassing, but it's kind of like, how long were you standing there? Now, what makes a woman laugh? That's a good question because I'm dating a girl and it's been 11 months and I'm still yet to figure out how to make her laugh until she can't breathe. Good question. Then I asked myself, so good job, me. Some studies have shown, I can't remember what article I read this from, but I have read somewhere about what actually makes women laugh is kind of what I wouldn't expect, or something that I had actually realized once I read it, and it's dirty jokes. I didn't exactly expect to realize that until I read it, but it kind of makes sense now, because if you notice, have you ever, like, for all the lady killers watching this, you ever been like just flirting and then you just make like a sort of like a dirty joke? I don't know, maybe that's not your style. Or has any guy like ever made like a dirty joke, and then your I don't know, your partner or your female friend, your co-worker that's a female, or just a female in general, just laughs at the joke? That's a good scenario of what women laugh at sometimes. Well, most of the time. And obviously this isn't to generalize the women population's sense of humor as a whole. You know, there are women who don't appreciate this kind of humor. My sister is a good example of this. She's not exactly fond of you know, unmodest behavior. She prefers to, you know, with modest jokes, with like, you know, us guys doing something dumb, basically. That's what she laughs at a lot. Dark jokes are something that also they laugh about, which is kind of scary at times, because sometimes their dark humor can be sarcastic but also have some truth to it. Like, you'll never know if they're telling the truth or not, and they could be saying that they're joking, which is kind of scary. I've noticed, like, from purely from experience, I have noticed that, you know, a lot of the girls or women that I would hang out with have the tendency to like make some dark jokes. I mean, us guys do it too, but their dark jokes are a little bit different. Like, sometimes I would hear like a girl making a dark joke about her getting disowned, or like getting beat by their parents. I'm like, oh gosh, are you safe at home? Yeah, so dark humor, kind of famous area of jokes when it comes to women who are a little bit aggressive in their humor. That's another thing about what makes women laugh: sarcasm. I've seemed to notice that's a lot of what I get. Like my girlfriend, who I've been dating for about, as I've said before at the beginning, 11 to 12 months now. I have noticed that her humor is rather aggressive, sarcastic, and it's scary sometimes, because you never know when she's telling the truth or not. So it'll be like, you ever just like be like accidentally staring at someone, you know, and they're like, what? And then they're, you know, and they're like, you're like, oh, sorry, you know. That'll be me, if I'm staring at my girlfriend, but not because I'm like accidentally staring at her. I'm just like staring at her. She's like, what, kid? And I'm like, oh, dang, okay. She's like, I'm kidding. And I'm like, are you? You know? Yeah, that's the aggressive humor that I get from her. Sorry. Moving on. What do men do that makes them just, you know, typically different in humor to women? Well, as I've said before, and I know I'm kind of repeating myself here, but we do a lot of dumb things. For example, I one time had the terrible idea to hold fire in my hands. And when I actually held it for the first time, I nearly burned my hands and the fire got in my pants. When I showed this to my girlfriend's mom, they busted out laughing. Obviously, not because burn myself, but just because of the idea of it just being so stupid, which it was. But I'd still do it again. Don't like I would still do it again. So yeah, that's pretty much what makes us different. I guess we're just more open to doing dumb things in public, or allowing others to see us do something dumb that could be seen as entertaining. So what exactly do women do that are typically, different from a man's humor? I don't know if I'm using typically in the wrong sense. Really, from my experience, what they mainly do that would actually make a guy laugh is not only to just us guys, but like as another woman, other women would be talking about like things that are relatable, or a certain situation that might be relatable to other women or perhaps even guys. For example, getting in trouble with your parents for something that both genders can be accused of, like I don't know, being caught failing in school or something, and you can like joke around about what you'd be punished about after, or what was funny online, or like Will Smith smacking Chris Rock or something. I don't know. Usually women would just, from my experience, I can say women joke around about things that they would deem relatable to others, or perhaps like I said before, dark humor, joke around about something serious but then devalue the severity of how bad it can be. I'm about to give you 3 reasons that I had came up with in the essay that I had written about why men are stereotypically funnier than women. Yes, I know it's a long title. So just to explain a little bit more, in this essay I was diving deep into the topic of why men are always the funny guy, quotation marks, because that's like something said, or why men are always the ones told you're funny, or why in the first place it's argued, or was argued, because I'm pretty sure there's already been an answer that's been established at this point, why men are funnier than women. I'm putting this in quotation marks, so I didn't say it, okay? But yeah, so that's what my essay was about, and I had come up with 3 reasons as a conclusion as to why men are stereotypically funny, and I do think that they do relate to how they're different. And I'm going to start with because some men have a fully intended objective for being funny, and sometimes it's random obviously. I'm pretty sure everyone has an objective for being funny, but in some cases men are funny so that way they can capture the attention of a girl they like, or someone they're interested in, which it's almost every guy, and it's been shown in studies that men don't exactly look for a sense of humor in a partner, whereas women do. And this was actually found out, and I think it was a study that I saw, a study that I read about in an article about these 3 psychologists who conducted a study where they had a group of people, both men and women, a large group of people, and they gave them images to create captions for. And so when they had gotten the results of every caption, because the point of it was to see which one was laughed at more, I guess, or which one was remembered, which was remembered to have been written by which gender, like as in, I don't know if that made sense what I just said right now, but basically the point of the study, I can't speak today, it's so late. The point of the study was to see from which gender created a funnier caption on those images. The end result being men being the ones who got the most laughs, and women even being the ones claiming that they have remembered that it was men who wrote those captions in that study. When I had read this, my initial thought was like, well, obviously men are doing something that women aren't. So what exactly is it? And I don't think I ever found the true answer to that. So, but yeah, I can say that from reason one, the way that humor is just so different from that a man's humor is so different from a woman's is that women don't exactly, or may not, I'm speaking from experience, I don't exactly know the full side of from how a woman's humor works. As much as most of our humor could be equal, there are some differences. But yeah, so I can say, as I was saying before, men and women's, or at least from what I can speculate about it, what is different about men and women's humor, given the idea that men typically have a motive or an objective, in their humor to make the other person laugh. Women prefer to be the one that laughs, rather receives, the joke and often gets all the laughter out, than being the one to make them laugh. So the second reason I gave was actually men using their pain as humor. And there's a huge difference between man and women's humor here, from what I have experienced in real life and have seen in real life, where a lot, and obviously this is not to generalize again the entire male or female population of doing this. Everyone's different, everyone does things different, everyone copes different, everyone jokes different. A lot of men turn their pain into jokes, with emphasis on a lot, not all. So a lot of men will, if they're going through depression, they'll probably make a joke about it at some point. Maybe they may be really sad in private, maybe get some tears out in private. But when they're with other people and they talk about their situations, they tend to make a little bit of a dark joke in there, like a dark joke. And yes, women do dark jokes too, but let me tell you the difference between how men take their pain and turn it into jokes and how women do that, but not a lot. So whenever a guy, just going through emotions, like I said before, when he's with a group of people and he's talking about it, he'll sprinkle in a joke or two. Maybe the whole thing, he'll make it a joke, but in reality he's hurt. But he's coping with it. He's trying to make himself feel better. It's like, yeah, it'll be okay, because he's joking about it. He's like, it's not that serious. Whereas women, and especially from my experience, have the tendency to keep all any depression or any sort of sad emotions to themselves. Because guys, this is where girl 101 comes in, where it's where dating 101 comes in, where it's if she says she's fine, she's not fine. That's exactly where it applies. Because when a woman has low self-efficiency, basically meaning they're not in a good mood, very droopy, sad, or angry, I don't know, whichever of those emotions aren't positive, they are less funnier because they don't have the energy, neither the attitude or emotion, the right emotion at the moment to make a joke about something. And obviously this isn't about every, this isn't every woman, like everyone's different. But I can see that whenever they're in a good mood, that's when they can make jokes. That's when that's when women, sorry, I don't want to refer to them always as they or them, because I don't know if that like offensive to anyone. Like at this point, I'm really worried about offending anyone here. But it's okay. I'll try my best. But yeah, women tend to keep things inside, and they don't exactly open up. And whenever they're in a good mood, like with a high self-efficiency, meaning, yeah, I can do it, I've got a positive attitude, I've got a positive way of thinking, right now I feel great, I feel jokey, I feel like I'm in a good mood, I feel like I can have a good time, then that's when they'll create jokes, that's when they'll like make, a little bit more of an effort to be funny or something. Whereas guys, it's been shown that through studies, like as girls can be funnier than guys with only high self-efficiency. Under that condition, guys are funnier when they have low self-efficiency, meaning they turn their insecurities and, like I said, pain into humor more often than women do whenever they're in pain. And I know this because I have a girlfriend who has went through a struggle in life. And whenever I tried to get her to open up, it did not go so well, because all I got was, I'll be okay, or I appreciate it. Which isn't helping very much, because you're not exactly allowing yourself to open up. But it's okay. You live, you learn. You have to learn how to let people be. But from my experience, and if my girlfriend so happens to watch this, I'm so sorry, but I had to use this. But from my experience, when she was going through something hard, a hard moment in her life, she was, very down, very, mundane, in a very mundane mood, if that makes sense. And she wasn't exactly as jokey as usual. She was always down, and the jokes she would make would always be a little bit depressing, but it was kind of like an awkward moment where like, oh. But it still applies to there being humor in some way in it, but not exactly the kind that men would relate, or like not exactly the kind that everyone would laugh at. Yeah, my girlfriend's a different breed. But I had compared it to whenever she wasn't in that sort of sad state, or like in a rather low self-efficient state of mind, that she would be a little bit more jokey, or she would be a little bit more receptive to humor, and it just clicked that it made a lot more sense when I read that women are only funnier than men under the condition that they have high self-efficiency, whereas men are funnier than women when they have low self-efficiency. I mean, trust me, I didn't say this, okay? Don't get mad at me. It was the study. One final topic that I had written, but by the way, the second reason that I had given was that men turn pain into humor more often than women do, because women have the tendency to keep their pain inside rather than letting it out there. And obviously this might not always be the case, because I have not had every experience with every type of woman in the world, and I don't expect to, because I'm somewhat between an extrovert and introvert. I forgot what it's called, and I prefer, I don't know. I don't talk to a lot of people, but yeah, that's reason number 2. Reason number 3 is because the reason I gave for men being stereotypically funnier than women is because we're a little bit more comfortable with being openly stupid around other people. A good example is comedians. Have you ever noticed that there is a higher number of male comedians than female comedians? And the fact that male comedians are a little bit, well, I guess the same applies to the female comedians, but if you've noticed, there are more male comedians, and I would believe that it's safe to assume that it's because men are generally, just more open to just, well, actually, you know what? Not generally. Most men are just open to the idea of talking about something dumb that they did, or maybe something embarrassing that they did that they now can see as funny in front of so many people that would also make them laugh. Women's humor and man's humor are just different for various reasons. My 3 reasons were because, 1, sometimes we have a lot more of an objective. Men, and obviously women do too sometimes, but usually the objective for men is usually to grab the attention of a woman, so that way they can be, seen as a potential candidate for a relationship. Yeah. And number 2, men turn pain into humor. Men turn pain into humor more often than women do, because women usually keep their pain inside rather than speaking